Welcome, welcome. So great to be with you as we continue our series of exploring creative energy levels as they move through us, being creative individuals in the world. So this is a ladder of creative energy. We can see it as a process of moving from the base of the spine. We've been climbing upward. We always want to start being grounded. So we always start with that first level of energy where we really feel like it's possible on any given day to sink roots deep down into the earth and feel connected, feel grounded, feel stable, feel like we're able to stand on our own 2 feet. It's not so easy, and I know that, and it comes and it goes. And so when we're feeling scared, insecure, not safe, that lets us know that we have fallen into the negative charge of the first level. And as we went through our review in the last recording, we moved our way up from the first level to the second, where we sense into how we belong. We belong in our own life, and we belong to our own creative process. Nobody else has your creative process. It's yours to discover. It's how you give birth to your ideas and your inspirations and bring them into form into the world. So we midwife ourselves into our own lives as we grow into it, as after we become adults. We're always in process, but clearly by the time we're in our late 30s, we're in position to begin to untie the knots from our youth and to move forward being courageous and really beginning to turn toward who we are being in any given moment in time, which is the third level of energy. So we constantly refresh our identity. We never nail our identity down. We're never finished, and we never feel like we have suddenly arrived. It's a continual journey, and we know that. So we're just reminding ourselves as we're getting closer to the fifth level, which is what we're going to be exploring today. As we did in our review, and we keep reminding ourselves because these things are so easy to forget. And if we use this ladder of creative energy moving from the base of the spine up to the top of the head and beyond, as we will blossom into, we realize that we have a system. It's a system that we can come back to. It's a system that will not harm us. And that if we remind ourselves of where we are on each of these levels, step by step, like just do a run through in the morning, start at the base of the spine, sit at the side of the bed, and just kind of feel into what each of these levels represents to you, and see, are you balanced? Are you too high? Are you too low? Are you just right? A little Goldilocks check in. So in our review, we realized that we have come to a very powerful point now. And in our demo, in a minute, we'll kind of dive in to the fifth level of energy. But we want to remind ourselves that the fifth level of energy is the archetype of the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is a masculine energy, as is the fourth. The fourth is the Emperor archetype, masculine, Emperor. The fifth is the High Priest, the Hierophant archetype. And the archetype gives us a collective consciousness construct. It's somewhere where we can go that is impersonal, but that gives us guidance for how we're going to mine the gold of the energy field. And so, as mentioned again and again, you can do your own research by getting a tarot deck and studying each of these levels. We're just going through 1 through 9. And as we know, there's many more levels beyond that. But this is to keep us contained within the context of the chakra system within the body. So that's where we're keeping it really as simple as we possibly can for this series. Fifth level, the Hierophant, is also referred to as the High Priest, also known as the Peacemaker. in Carol Bridges' work, and I don't think I have her book right in front of me right now. I'll grab it in a minute if I think of it and do her little power statement. But the Hierophant, the fifth level, it's here in the body, and we're going to draw it in a minute and really connect to it. But it's a bridge. It's a bridge from the heart up to the higher levels, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So the fifth level is the fulcrum point, as we demonstrated in our review and preview, and which we'll look at again in a moment. So this is the point of the tricky wicket. The fifth level of energy is where everything can go awry. Why? Because the fifth level of energy is referred to as the energy of the human. And the human is the organism on the planet that somehow just cannot seem to find a way to move from the shore of birth to the shore of death in a state of peace. We're just not taught how to do it. So we have to kind of make up for what we don't learn in our youth, oftentimes by doing repair work as an adult. And the fifth level is the fulcrum point. It's the turnkey. It's the pivot. It's where we really want to spend a good bit of our time so that we really are not kidding ourselves about where we're at in terms of our balance. Remember, we're working with these levels of energy to remind ourselves that each level has a central balance point, and it has a positive and a negative pole or charge. But it's the midpoint, it's the middle point, it's that Goldilocks just right point where, like in Buddhism, we're taught non-attachment to what we want and non-attachment to what we don't want. We don't attach, we just experience. Not easy, but it's a wonderful way to train our brain to move through the world, particularly as a creative, because it's kind of freaky to be a creative person in the world and to see, sense, and feel our way along without thinking that there's a safety net. Because when we're an entrepreneur, creative, artist, solopreneur, moving through the world, we really do have to create structure of our own. We have to know how to build a scaffold in our life so that we feel like we know how to climb that ladder. We've built it, and so we know how to climb it. So we're building it on paper. I'm going to turn to the camera so that we can do our demo and sink a little deeper into our opportunity to explore the fifth level of energy. So here we are, and we're reminding ourselves of where we have been. And we're also reminding ourselves that in this, at this point in time, we are basically at the midpoint in our travel. Fifth level is the midpoint between the 1 through 9. The 0 point added to any of the energy fields expands it. And the more zeros we add, the more expansive the energy becomes. It's just kind of an interesting and fun way to think about each level. If you want to up level it, you make the 1 a 10, you make the 2 a 20, you make the 3 a 30, and so forth and so on. I'm going to grab that book from Carol Bridges and add that in. So I got Carol Bridges here. And when we get to the fifth level, which I'm going to draw on this sheet of paper. So I'm just taking our stick figure and I'm expanding it for our fifth level exploration. We want to take the fifth level and we want to recognize, okay, here's the heart. So that's what we did for the fourth level of energy. And we're moving up to the third eye. So that's going to be the sixth level of energy. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because the fifth level of energy is in the throat, traditionally. Let's see what Jacqueline Small says about the fifth level of energy is that it's the thyroid gland. So we can put that into our notes, thyroid. And it is the color blue in most chakra work. But in my creative energy work, I have learned that it's important to take the heart and the intuition and bring them into the throat. So I take the blue of the, she uses indigo for sixth level. I just use this indigo blue, but the green of the heart and the blue of the third level, I combine them, and I use turquoise for the fifth level of energy. Do what you choose. If you've worked with chakras before, you do what feels comfortable for you. But for our creative energy work, we combine. We want them to talk to each other. So we designate that with the color. But we also designate this energy as expansive. So we put a line along the sinus bones under the eyes. And then we draw a box all the way down to the sternum, right above the heart. And this then becomes the entire fifth level of energy. And you can kind of box it in any way you choose, but I just do something like that. Again, I hope that our camera is giving us, see, it's always better to get this all set up beforehand, but there you have it. So we box it in, and we are then able to recognize that the fifth level of energy includes the way we speak, so the throat, but it also encompasses the way we hear. It also encompasses the way that we breathe in our life. It also encompasses the way we speak about life. So all of those senses are included in this area, this fifth level, and it expands down to the sternum and gives us a real powerful way of thinking about our communication skills. How we communicate with one another comes from all these different parts. I just read somebody who's posted that they're practicing a new skill, and that is that when someone is speaking and telling a story about their own experience, they're learning to listen rather than to immediately put their experience on top of the other person's experience. That's powerful for the fifth level of energy. This is our communication center, you could say. And it is imperative that we learn that this is where we become familiar with the way that we talk to ourselves. So this is in our inner ears, listening to our own languaging, how we talk to ourselves. This is how we take in the aromas of life. And so if we say, that stinks, we're referring to fifth level. If we say something like, I can't swallow that, or that chokes me up, we're talking about fifth level. We're talking about communication in this creative energy field. Jacqueline Small refers to this level of energy, describing it as issues relating to one's individuated creative expression in the world and comprehension of the whole of which we are a part. And John Randolph Price, in his book Angels Within Us, refers to the fifth level and the throat chakra as the center for the distribution of creative energy. So make your notes and then begin to consider how you work with this level of creative energy yourself. Keep in mind, this is the turn key. It's the fulcrum point. It determines how we experience our own life. It's the energy of humanity. The symbol for the fifth level, and there's always layers on all of these, and then there's a symbol for each of the ones that we've worked with so far. But on this one, it's the 5-pointed star. And so we could think of the 5-pointed star sort of like Leonardo da Vinci's, what is it? I forget what you refer to him as, but it's like the Venusian man. I think it is the man inside the circle, and spread eagle, arms akimbo. It's a really cool representation of fifth level because it shows us that we go out of balance so easily. Fifth level, this would be like our feet, our hands, and our head. And we fall out of balance so easy. So fifth level is the balance point. It's the fulcrum point. Our keywords for fifth level are, again, positive energy field and negative energy fields do not represent judgments. They represent qualities. And if we are working with the negative qualities, we might want to make an adjustment. We might not want to stay in the negative field, but everybody has the negative field. So when we look at the positive and the negative qualities of fifth level on our little chart here, we have positive charge, we're expansive. We want to try new things and we want to meet new people. We want to be on an adventure. It's generally thought of as educating ourselves is a great adventure for our lives. We want to be promoting our interests, our passions, what we are, just ignited to be involved in. We want to promote that through our language, through our communication. We want to be charming, and that's a word that can be misconstrued, but as a fifth level energy field, charming simply means that we know how to communicate. We know how to be connected to others. We allow ourselves to reach out and see the common ground with one another. We want to be allowing ourselves to have untried ventures, which again is another way of thinking about adventure and education. When we're out of alignment with the fifth level of energy, the keywords are obsessive, discontent, addictive, negative, confused, nervous. And in my expanded chart that's been worked on for a very long time with lots and lots of additions, I've had it added into the fifth level energy words such as dread, self-loathing, overwhelm, crisis, assault, exhaustion, defeat, resistance, accident, and hurt. Fifth level is, again, the fulcrum point. It's the switch. It's the turn between what we build and where we climb once we've built something. So we're starting with the first level and we get to the heart, and the heart opens after we've endured something. Then we begin to have a different way of communicating. We might have more loving kindness. We might have, our heart might have opened us to compassion. We might feel more joyful about life because we can see, sense, and feel what it's like to go through suffering and difficulty and endurance, and break our heart open so that we're doing the work of our heart. And that might make us feel very joyful. And all of this fifth level, everything that comes before the fifth level, gets us to this, again, kind of Goldilocks point where we're feeling a sense of equanimity, balance, all of the work that we're doing in this series and all of the work that we do in all of our courses is to remind us to come back home to our center, to be in a state of balance. Carol Bridges refers to this level of energy as the peacemaker. Mediation, great key word for this part of the body. We mediate through our capacity to communicate. The traditional name, the Hierophant. Her medicine woman name for this level of energy is the peacemaker interfacing with the world. Again, really an excellent way to think about this boxed in zone, that this is where we connect with the outer world. Beforehand, we've been internal. We've been turned in. Even if we're active in the world, if we're working out of these energy fields without knowing how to communicate, we're going to have real issues around making connections with the outer world, with our passion. The power statement that Carol Bridges offers us in the Medicine Woman Tarot for the 5th level goes like this, and you can use this as a meditation. I am the mediator between my God self and my world. I bring the within outward, recognizing that my presentation and the world's response are just. I am at peace with all outcomes. So it's we could think of this point as a bridge. It's a bridge from what we've been exploring to where we will be going. And the 5th level is within our body, our ability to communicate our ideas and our inspirations with the world. Now, coming back to the original stick figure map, we want to make a connection. So, of course, we draw in our 5th level of energy, and we highlight with a circle in the throat. But then what we want to do is we want to make a connection. It doesn't matter which side that we do this, but we're going to make a half an oval that comes down to the orange 2nd level disc. And then we're going to bring our orange and we're going to do another half an oval up to the top of the throat, to the throat. So we can remind ourselves continuously that it is our feeling nature that determines how we communicate. And it's our communication that lets us know how we're feeling. So this is a really nice, we can do little arrows that take us back down. We can do arrows that point us back up. You know, you'll find your own way to make this connection. But we really want to recognize how empowering these points are in working together. And if we drop ourselves back down here to belonging and self-worth, we realize that every day when we're communicating, even just talking to ourselves, using our inner ears to talk to ourselves, we get a feeling for how we get an awareness of how we're feeling in any given day. So these are visual ways to track our experience. And it doesn't matter, you know, what we're creating, this will work for each and every one of us. It gives us a way to come back home every day and check in with how we're doing. I also want to include today another way that you can work with these creative energies, and that's by getting something like this. You can go online and see what you can find, but this is called the Subtle Body Coloring Book. Learn energetic anatomy from the chakras to the meridians and more. This is by Cindy Dale, and it's illustrated by Richard Wareham. And Christiane Northrup, very well-known doctor, says, intriguing and fun, a brilliant and kinesthetic way to learn the energy systems of our bodies. And every page is a coloring page that has all kinds of information about how the body functions with these meridians. Let me see if I can find some actual, well, you'll just have to pull it up online and take a look at it. But you can really, really go deep into this work. And as I say, I want to do this series short form to introduce you, bring you back to, if you've worked with our other series, we circle back around constantly, because this is what we do here at the It's About Time courses. We keep bringing ourselves back home again and again and again, working with these different ways of looking at these universal systems for connecting to inner balance. There's nothing new here, except that you are new to bringing this energy information into your own awareness and into your own experience body. So this could be a really wonderful workbook to add as an adjunct to what we're doing here. And next time I will introduce you to Alex Gray's work with sacred mirrors and his inner anatomy with energy fields. So again, we're not making anything up here. We're simply looking at ways that you can get your hands involved, create your own diagrams, make your own notes, do your own research, and realize that there really is a way to not be distracted, to not be overwhelmed, and to constantly, have a way to return to your own center. Turn the camera back around and close us. Do that correctly this time. I didn't do it correctly on the review preview. So here we are. So thank you so much for being here right now, for coming back and picking this information up when you want to do a review. Remember, this is timeless information. It is ancient information, and it is constantly being repackaged, just like I just showed you with this book. It's a wonderful way to add to what we're doing here, so that you have these short videos and you can put them in a folder, and you can remind yourself quarterly. We work with the equinox and the solstice points. Remind yourself every quarter to come back in. And as we know, when we get to the 9th level of energy, we're going to bring this all together in a cohesive, closed, we'll do conscious closure on our series, and you'll see how we'll weave our way up. We are weaving our way up, and we'll get to a point where we'll see that we've created a ladder that can influence the very fabric, the very nature of the way that you move through the world as a balanced being, as a healthy cell in the body of the universe, and as a creative, which is the highest level, as you'll really be reminded of when we get to the 9th level. It's the highest level we can work with, being creative. I send you much love. This is Iona. This is Wren House Studio, and these are short explorations of the creative energy fields based on my, I think it's like 35 years of research in this work, and I just adore it, and I hope you enjoy it too. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you for level 6 in the next while. Take good care. And I gotta come over here.